Hello, Orbis here. So yesterday I uploaded a video ranking every single Beatles song, and it is a beefy video. I mean, I knew it was going to be long, but it's over an hour long, and I thought maybe it would be a good idea to do something that's similar, but wouldn't be anywhere near as long, because not everyone has enough time to watch an hour long video. So I'm going to go through every Beatles album and rank the tracks from worst to best, starting with Please Please Me. Please Please Me is of course the Beatles' debut album, and it is very solid. I wouldn't say there's a bad track on it, and even though I'm ranking them worst to best, I think that they are all similar levels of quality, and so there isn't much difference between each of the placements, meaning that just because I've ranked something lower doesn't mean I don't like it. Anyway, without further ado, my least favourite song on Please Please Me is A Taste of Honey. Even though it's at the bottom, I do still like it, and in general the covers are going to rank lower, and I think this is the weakest of them. It's just not super memorable. I believe this was the one that they played in Hamburg a lot, and Billy Preston would always ask them to play. Next up at number 13, I've got P.S. I Love You. Some may feel this is too low as it's lower than most of the covers. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, I just don't think it stands out too much. Also, let's not mention the terrible version that Paul McCartney did during the Flowers in Dirt tour, which you can find on YouTube. It's definitely interesting. Number 12, I've got Boys. This is the first Beatles song with Ringo on vocals. They did this one live a lot, and it's got a lot of rock and roll energy, and it's good fun. At number 11, I've got Anna, which is another cover song. It's definitely a great cover, but it's not one of my favorites. At number 10, I've got Chains, which is far from the best track on the album, but I find it really catchy. Number 9, I've got Misery, which weirdly was the first Beatles song to get covered by another artist. It was covered by Kenny Lynch in 1963. There's an interesting story behind that cover, but I don't have time to go into it in this video. But yeah, this is just a great early Lennon-McCartney track. Number 8, I've got Love Me Do, which is the Beatles' first single, although obviously this is the album version that we're talking about, and they are different, because this version has Andy White on drums instead of Ringo Starr. I was originally going to rank this lower, but I think it's iconic enough to be ranked higher, even if it is very simple. Number 7, I've got Ask Me Why. It's just a really great song with some great vocals. Number 6, I've got Baby It's You, which is one of the best covers, but I don't think you can really go wrong when covering the Shirelles. Number 5, I've got Do You Want to Know a Secret? I might be ranking this higher than some others would, but it's just very enjoyable, and I like the acoustic guitar on it. At number 4, I've got Twist and Shout. Twist and Shout is one of the best covers that the Beatles did, and they definitely transformed it into their own, which is why it's so iconic. It's got great vocals from John, and I think it's impressive that the song was only done in one take. Number 3, I've got There's a Place, which I'm ranking very highly. It might not be the catchiest song on the album, but it's my favourite lyric-wise. It's very mature compared to the other tracks, and it's an early example of John Lennon's introspection. Number 2, I've got Please Please Me. It's a pretty popular one of theirs from the early years. I think it would be interesting to hear the original version, which is much slower. I believe that they made it faster in order to convince George Martin to release it. But yeah, it's fun, it's catchy, it's great. And so I think that the greatest song on Please Please Me is the opener, I Saw Her Standing There. Maybe a somewhat predictable pick, but I just think it's the most iconic song on the album, partly because it's the first track on their first album, but I also just think it's a really great song. I still think the first line is a bit weird though. So there was my ranking of the Please Please Me tracks, and I can't wait to hear your complaints about it in the comments. Hopefully I'll see you again when I do With the Beatles. Goodbye.